Hello. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Everybody okay? Yes? Good? 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 Oh, good. Yes? Can you? Okay, better? Very nice. So good we are here together. I always like, because they can finish, right? We might not have the conditions to be here together at some point. Maybe as individual people or as a group. Maybe the conditions finish and then no more possibility to come together. But we are here, and that is the best. So we can only work with the present moment that we have. Past, gone. Future might never arrive. We don't live like that if we really check our minds, right? We live in the future or we live complaining about the past. Oh, but it was like that. Oh, it was like this. Oh, this was so nice. Oh, this was so good, right? Or maybe we are afraid of the past and we don't want to go back there and we run away from the past, trying to get somewhere. We have no idea where it is, but it's very far. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think these methods work, but it's fine. And that is the thing. That is what we kind of like need to understand. That is, we need to discover the methods we have. The first, we need to recognize the ones that we are using, so we can actually try to discern if we want to let them go, or if there are maybe other methods around that can help us. They are not good or bad. Nothing is what we say inherently good or inherently bad. Just depends on what we want, where we want to get, what is our purpose, our goal. So for that, in Buddhism, we say that we need to create an intention. Very easy to understand. Buddhist philosophy, for those that are new, it's very logical. It's very kind of like a scientific approach. It's not a very strong dogmatic type of philosophy because it makes you think. That's why it's hard for some people because sometimes we don't want to think. Sometimes we just prefer that someone comes and tell us what to do and how it is. That's fine. That's it. But here we're going to need to investigate because Tibetan Buddhism, well, Buddhism in general, it's an experiential philosophy. That means that if you don't experience for yourself what the Buddhist teachings are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you are just hearing all of these nice words that I'm saying, and we are meditating and feeling good and pleased. Oh, so nice. Not like this. This is good, but it's not really what Buddhism is trying to achieve. Buddhism is really trying to achieve something that goes beyond what we call our innate wish for happiness and suffering, to be completely free from our suffering and to achieve lasting happiness. That is the goal of Buddhism. Then it depends on you if you want to join your inner and personal goal and purpose with that. That's why the Dalai Lama says that you don't need to be like a Buddhist. You can be a Jew and a Buddhist, a Christian and a Buddhist, even a lawyer and a Buddhist. You can be. So then that means that you can, it's something that if it helps you, to develop a kind heart, to develop a better way of being a human being, that's it, a good human being. That is the goal. But for that, like anything else in life, we need to create the necessary causes and conditions. And that is the problem. We don't think like that. We just think that, I want to achieve that. And then just like this, out of the blue, it needs to happen. And we do that a lot, especially when we are thinking about others. Others should be like this, others should be like that, and da 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 da. You know, we want to change. It's the outside, or or other people, but we don't understand cause and effect. We don't understand causes and conditions. We don't understand cause and result. You know, so we are just like, but this person didn't do in this way. This person is not like that. We don't even think that the person has a mind, an uncontrolled mind, and normally a very self-absorbed type of view, an egocentric, right? You understand what I'm saying? So how do we want that person to be different without changing, without creating the causes for change? I'm saying all of this for us to create a motivation for our talk here today. If we came from afar, if we left our houses, it's because we want to transform ourselves in a one way or another. And we are wanting to look for methods to do that. And we decided to explore the methods of the Buddhist path, which is an inner method, an experiential inner method. So whatever we do here today, we need to do with this intention, this wish to really transform our minds, to check, to observe what is going on inside. That is very important. Because if we don't do that, then we don't get the result. Then we complain about the past because it's already gone, right? What we're going to complain is never going to complain about the present itself. We normally complain about something that happened that is not in accordance in the present. Yes, then we are complaining about the present, but something from there or something that is still about to come. That's what we need to do. Right here, right now. Let's just take a moment, very short moment, just to create a motivation. Check within ourselves. What do I want to achieve by being here, by listening to this blah, blah, blah from this, oh, today not so hairy Brazilian monk? Just ask yourself for a few moments, what would you like to achieve? And if it is possible to achieve. I want happiness. You think in 1.5 hours you can get that? So, how? So, whatever the motivation, the intention for you to be here today, now we're going to try to do an exercise of expanding it, going a little bit out of our comfort zone and think, well, I might want whatever I want now, but it would be nice to have that in the future as well, to keep that for a longer period, not only for a short time. So maybe whatever I do, may I also be able to keep it for a longer period of time and even maybe make it never go away. And the second exercise is about not only expanding in time, but expanding in numbers. Because if you want whatever you want, maybe peace, happiness, be free from whatever negative things that we have, transformation, tendencies that we have, then other people might want the same. So you try to think about them as well and think, wow, if I achieve that, and if I achieve that for a longer period of time, may I be able to help others who also achieve this. So whatever we do, whatever you can think, whatever I do now throughout these 1.5 hours here together, may it help me to open my heart and think about others as well. And this will bring me more encouragement and strength and power to actually do the hard job of transforming myself. And for that, we need help. That's why we are here, not to get help from me, because I cannot help anyone, but at least to get some methods outside that might help us to go inside. So we're gonna do some aspirations, some intention, or in Buddhism, that's what we call prayers. We do a small intention or motivation in order to reinforce this, this motivation that we just created. So in the Buddhist view, what we do is that we visualize the Buddha in front of us as a sign of inspiration, because we can all be like him. And he is surrounded by all other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas, those that are walking the path to inspire us. And we visualize surrounding us all our friends, in front of us the difficult people in our lives, as a reminder to open our hearts to them as well. And all the strangers surrounding us, because they also want to be happy, to achieve whatever we want. So we can do these aspirational prayers on starting on page 34 of the book. So we can do the 34, the four immeasurables. So the four immeasurables are qualities that it can help us to develop this idea of helping others. Love, compassion, joy, equanimity. As we said, we need to create the causes to open our heart. And the four immeasurables are some of that, ways to create the causes. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Now we go to page 98 to say the refuge and bodhicitta prayer. So the refuge means we normally take refuge in order to achieve whatever we want in things that don't allow us, don't bring the benefit that we actually want. It's like we are thirsty and we drink salty water. So doesn't actually help, right? Doesn't kill the, the thirst. But a refuge is like, oh, it's giving us the right things for the right problems, the right medicine for the right disease. And here, especially our disease of our selfishness, our egocentric attitude. So it makes us ask for guidance and help to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the assembly of helpers to help us open our hearts so we can become like them and help all sentient beings. So, page 98. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Very good. So now, apparently, we created a positive motivation. And last Sunday, we talked about motivation. We are doing the chapter 5 of the Freedom Through Understanding book. So we are following a book called Freedom Through Understanding. I think especially you two are new here. I haven't seen your faces yet. So we are doing a book called Freedom Through Understanding. It's a book from our two teachers, Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche. They wrote in the 70s. Well, they didn't wrote. They gave many talks, and then people listened to that and transcribed it. So that's like more what it is. And it goes through many different aspects of the Buddhist path. And then last week we were talking about the motivation. And the motivation is what we just said, what we just did. And motivation is such an important part of the Buddhist path because of exactly of the result that it can bring. But we don't live our life. It's very easy to see that we want something, but we get the opposite. We go to the totally different way. We want to be relaxed and calm and more kind of like, I just want to have some time for myself. And what we do, we go to Instagram, we go to Netflix, we go doing this and that, things that agitate our minds and disturb our minds. So we don't get what we want, even though internally we really want it, right? Instead of just going and having some time to reflect, to just relax, have a hot shower or cold shower in this heat, and just relax and having a more, do something that would make us connect with their inner wish. No, we go like blah, 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 making ourselves more busy. We have, unfortunately, I was discussing that with someone recently, can't remember, about how our society is making us more and more and more and more like busy, right? We have this busyness, this sickness of being busy. We need to be doing something all the time. We can't have any more relaxation. We don't know how to relax. Our kids don't know how to relax. And even, our generation. I thought that actually, living in the monasteries for a while and being out there, like I thought I was a little bit less involved in day-to-day lives. And then when I started to come back to the West, I started to see that I thought that only younger people were hooked into social media. I realized that the old people as well, quite a lot actually, they also been hooked because they are still looking for the same thing. That for me is a perfect example of equanimity. We are exactly the same in wanting to be happy and not suffer. There's no way, right? Because of that idea that we want to get that peace of mind, we want to get relaxation, we want to get something out of our lives, something that makes us, wow, we all looking in the same places. So it's easy to see that. Because it's easy to see that in Buddhism, what we're going to talk about motivation, it's bodhicitta. That is what the motivation in Buddhism is, the best of the motivations. So then we need to understand what the hell this word bodhicitta means. Bodhicitta is a Sanskrit word, bodhi and chitta. So it's actually two words in one. Bodhi means enlightened or pure, and chitta means mind. So it's the enlightened mind or the pure mind or the perfect mind. For our friend that likes perfection over there, because we were talking about perfection the other day. So, what is that? What is a perfect mind? What is a pure mind? What is a mind that is enlightened? It's very simple, but we make it very complicated. It's a mind that has no suffering and no causes for those sufferings to arise. And it's a mind that has developed all its incredible qualities that we already have, but right now are restricted, that are kind of like under the dominance of just one person, me, myself, and I. So all the qualities we have in our minds right now, they are totally being pulled back of being an unlimited, vast expression of ourselves because of our self-cherishing mind, because of our egocentric, egoistic mind. It's good to think like that because we can see the potential we have inside. We can see that we have the potential to love because we all here knows what love is, right? We all either received or felt love, like we all given love or we received love. So we know what love is. But right now it's a conditional and limited. It's like if you are nice to me, if you love me, I love you back. And the enlightened, pure mind of the Buddha doesn't have that. It loves all sentient beings equally, every single person, exactly the same. Exactly the same doesn't mean that it's gonna manifest and show in the same way. You understand that? That is important. But it's gonna give what was gonna give what each person needs. There's a very special person called Amma. She gives hugs to people. I don't know if you ever heard about that. She's an Indian saint in India. She's like, it's incredible. I had the opportunity to see her a few times, and she stays giving hugs to people for 28 hours sometimes. Sometimes she goes to the toilet very quickly and then she comes back. But that's it. She just stays there. And she gives a hug that is exactly what that person needs. Some people she stays. Mm. Some people she just goes, does like, and go. You know, like, you go. And then the person normally starts to feel whatever they have to feel, but it was exactly what they needed. So that's something interesting to see because love is there, but it might not be what we think and what we want to be loved, right? What we want, because everybody's there and then everybody sees, no, you stay in a line for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And then you see her hugging so many people. And, oh, I'm sure she's gonna hug me so long, you know. I'm sure that I am the one that she's gonna hug the most. And she's gonna kind of like say something special to me. And it's gonna be that, you know? And normally if you are with that in mind, she's gonna be the one that you're gonna just receive a little and go, you know? That's what we need at that moment. We are just craving for attention, right? We are just thinking me, 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 me. So that is very interesting that we can observe in our minds. And we can observe that not only with Amma, but we can observe that in so many ways. That's how we act. We are just over there trying to get attention from others, trying to get someone to acknowledge our worth and our love and our good qualities. But why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Well, Buddhists would say it's because I'm not understanding the qualities and the potential we have within ourselves. We have the potential to love ourselves unconditionally, all of ourselves, okay? Not just like, yeah, this part I love, but that part I don't love. Not like this. All of us, all of our flaws, all of our complicated situations, all of our obsessions, all of our negative tendencies, all of it, loving it, embracing it. So we can do that with us, and we can do that with every single person. And that's what bodhicitta is about. Because bodhicitta means I want to achieve enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. So here, there's many aspects of bodhicitta, but one of the first ones is the wish. I want, I wish. So that needs to have a motivation. That is our motivation. We have to have a motivation to achieve enlightenment. We have to create an intention, and an intention needs to come through understanding. We need to understand what we want, right? And for that, for understanding what we want, we need to understand where we can get. What is the goal? What is the long-term purpose that we want to achieve? And that is the enlightenment aspect. These qualities of the Buddha that we have right here and right now within ourselves. And then we say all sentient beings. All is the most important part. Because as we did in our motivation, it expands and fights this selfish attitude. So enlightenment is also one of the most important. I feel sometimes in Buddhism we don't talk so much about like the enlightenment attitude and the qualities of enlightenment, because honestly, is sometimes what we really need to hear. We talk a lot about our suffering, what is happening to us, what is happening in our lives right now. And normally we talk a lot about suffering because that's what is happening. We are suffering in many different ways, but we sometimes forget about the qualities. And the qualities is so important because, especially for us Westerners, we are so tough on ourselves. Wow. What a, what a, how do you say, hard people we are. No? We're very hard with ourselves. We're tough. We kind of like, I should be like this. I should be like that. You understand? And then we pass that understanding and that tightness and that this to the outside world. And we think that people should be like this should be like that, this shouldn't be like this shouldn't be like that. And then we develop all of those world views and opinions and ideas, and we just cling to them. Check what I'm talking about. Make sense? You understand that? Because some people say, no, I don't have word views, I'm super open, everything's okay, and I just go with the flow and all of that. But is it really? Is it really like that? Or you do have a very strong opinion that you're not even aware that you have the opinion because it's your reality. You think that things should be like that, and we just cling to that and we just go like, So the enlightened mind comes bodhicitta to break that. It breaks, completely revolutionize our lives. It's a revolutionary attitude. Wanting to achieve enlightenment to benefit others. Crazy. Absolutely nuts, if you think about it. When I first started Buddhism, like, more than 10 years ago, I started to think that this was a megalomaniac. Is that a word? Yes? Yes? Okay. Because you guys are going to see, especially you two, that I invent words sometimes. So megalomaniac is like this idea of kind of like completely crazy. It's like, oh, okay. all sentient beings and you want to kind of like love them, have compassion, wisdom, and all of that is impossible until you start to see people that have advanced so much on this path that can do that. Then you're like, it's possible. We can do that. That's what Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa did to us. They came and they just started teaching, in the 70s. That's when they started. And we're still here. Or the Buddha, 2,600 years ago, and we're still getting it. Oh, trying to get what he meant. Better say. It's incredible. So all of us to others. All of us have the potential to help others in a way that will help them to be free from their own sufferings. That is the purpose of life. That is what the Buddhist is going to say. Buddha is going to say, yes, we can be just living life, having a comfortable house, food, and whatever. That is our life. That is it. That's it. Really? I'm going to be, you guys, especially you two, need to know that Buddhism is not a very diplomatic approach. So I'm going to say things here that is going to probably make you feel uncomfortable, and that's exactly the intention. But if we just want to have a comfortable food, a comfortable life, and a comfortable house, food, and feel cold. If we feel cold, we want to get something warm. If we're hot, we want to get our air conditioning. What is the difference between ourselves and an animal? A dog or a cat wants exactly the same. Sorry about that. But if we observe, it is true. Just want the same. They just want exactly the same as us. What is the difference? What are we creating? Well, the difference that we can create is to open our hearts, to bring something good for others. The Dalai Lama says the meaning of life is that we're going to be in this earth for maybe 90, 80, 90, or 100 years if we're lucky. So maybe it will be good to leave the place a little bit better than how we found it. No? How about that? Is that a good purpose of life? I don't know. I'm not saying, as I said, don't believe in anything I say. The Buddha said that, but especially me, that don't know anything. So don't believe in anything. Check within you. What is a good purpose? What is a good motivation? What it is that brings you something that is much more a long term and an open heart type of purpose. Because otherwise, we are just going into very short purposes. Like, I want to get this new car, and then the new car gets, and then something else needs to be there. Oh, I want to get a new house. I want to get a new relationship, a new job, a new day. That's it. We just go like that, living life from one small little thing to one small little thing to one small little thing. And then it never brings that satisfaction, that contentment. I use this word another day, and that's it. Contentment. Contentment means no need for anything else. I'm content. There's no need for something new to bring us excitement, to bring us, I feel alive type of way. Very funny if you think about it. It's very sad as well because we are wasting our life, wasting our time, wasting the potential that each of us here have to help others. And especially because you're all very smart people, not like me, don't know anything, but don't speak any language well anymore. Then each of you have a specific characteristic, a specific kind of like, conditions that came together that made you, you, and that you can use to help others. If you if you create that motivation inside of yourself, everything that you do becomes a way to benefit others. If you eat, if you go to the shopping, if you go to do this, if watching TV, everything becomes a way to help others because you're creating that intention and motivation all the time. Then at some point, you're going to start going out there And then someone is suffering and you want to say something because you recognize the wish to be happy in the others. Because bodhicitta has to come with the idea of equanimity. And equanimity is a big word for us. Because equanimity would have would need to make us understand that even our people, hard, like difficult people in our lives, also want to be happy. Even Trump and Biden, I know, difficult. Even all of the people in the world that is suffering right now and killing others and doing things bad to others, they all want to be happy and not suffer. That's why equanimity is a hard concept. But if you think about it, how does equanimity works? Equanimity equalizes our emotions towards others. It doesn't make us go and say, if you are nice to me, if you are bad to me, that's what I'm gonna do. If you're bad, I kick you in the face. If you're nice, I give you a hug. Something things like that. Equanimity takes out those preconceived ideas of helping friends and being horrible to enemies. It breaks those conceptions and it makes us free. That is the important part, to actually act in the most beneficial way to that person or to the animal, to that being is in front of us, without a hidden agenda of, if you are nice to me, then I would be nice to you. If you're bad to me, then I'll be bad to you. You understand what I mean? Does it make sense? Does it make sense what equanimity means? What is equanimity for you? Because if I'm just here giving all the answers, then it becomes bad. But what is equanimity? How can you practice equanimity? Let's start a debate. Otherwise, it becomes very boring. Me here. So, what is equanimity? How do we practice? Yes, Anthony.
Yeah, it's always something, defining terms is always interesting because
Yeah.
you sometimes forget, like, what is it? What do I think this means? You read
That's
the
it.
word so
That's
often.
exactly it.
I guess I see it sometimes as seeing equally that everyone wants to be happy and
Yes.
having that wish equally for all of them.
That's it. That's very good. But then what we can do about it, right? Because then what we start to do is that we start to mm, change our motivation or change our equanimity, which sometimes we don't have, depending on how the person
So I don't need
acts to us, right?
I don't need to vote for this person or donate to their campaign, but
That's
I
it.
can say
That's
I
it.
want them to
To be
they
happy.
should they deserve to be happy
That's it.
because they're
That's
they-
exactly this, right? We can wish people to be happy and be uh, have a different opinion. Equanimity and harmony, sometimes I say that are very also connected, because harmony, it's something that I feel that people really get it wrong. People think that harmony is we should all think exactly the same. Harmony means let's find a peaceful way to disagree, right? We can have totally different ways of thinking, but we respect and we have a peaceful way of disagreeing. That's it. So if we have that, then equanimity can come as well. Because we can understand that you say, I don't need to be exactly like you on the outside ways of thinking, but in the inner, more subtle way, whatever we are thinking that is going to bring us happiness, right? It's different. But it's equal the wish to get happiness, right? For some people, happiness is, you know, eating something, and for others is not eating that or eating something different. If we all go here, that's why we have so many kind of like, menus and things like that, because we have different wishes for food, right? But it's different. There's nothing wrong with that. But the wish to eat is the same, right? Yes, Bob.
How
Bob.
do you create balance between equanimity towards those who do harm towards others? Always a huge
Yes, it's always a huge challenge. What is the challenge though for you? What do you think it is the challenge?
The challenge is feeling unconditionally loving towards people who do harm towards others, especially those
Why?
who have the ripple effect.
Why? why it is hard to feel loving for them.
Because of the suffering they cause others.
So very good, because yes. So let's try to turn a little bit into not only the harm that they created for others, but let's try to observe them, the person in itself. Do you think that someone that is happy would harm others? Do you think that someone that is fulfilled, content, would harm others? Normally, no, right? We are okay with ourselves. If we are in a good mood when we wake up, we normally are nice to other people. We all have those days that we wake up like, wow, what a great day, That kind of like, and then you're like, wow, I'm gonna make these amazing breakfast, I'm gonna do this, and you're like in this mood. So that mood normally don't make us go and say, on these people. So then we need to start understand exactly what cause and effect and cause and conditions are. Because the main cause and conditions for that person to create harm to others is his or her mind, their mind. And their mind means that we need to understand the lack of understanding that they have of what is happiness and how to get it and how to be free from suffering. Because if we are saying here that this is the basics understanding that we all want, to be happy and not suffer, so that person also wanting that. However, the methods that that person is creating, they are very wrong, very deluded, because they are creating exactly what I said in the beginning. They want this, but they are getting that. They are going to the opposite direction. So here, it's a lack of understanding. And not only understanding the mind and how the mind works, yes, definitely, but understanding a very basic idea of happiness. And that understanding, it's not only creates suffering for them, but it also creates suffering for others. And this is exactly the opposite of what they want. Because if we want happiness, we want to help others. We want others to be happy as well. It's a side effect of our own happiness. We want to share it with them. So the difficulty of understanding for us to judge others and to develop the mind of love and kindness towards someone that is making harm to others is because we don't understand their mind. And if we don't understand how their minds work, it's because we don't understand how our minds work. And that means that we do want to be happy and not suffer, and them as well. But why we don't get that? Why we don't get happiness and we create more suffering for ourselves? Why? Why we don't feel content 100% of the time?
We think happiness is out here.
But then we are in America, we can buy everything all the time. So why not? No.
Yeah, we know what I mean is like we falsely think it's out here, and so we continue, and then
But why falsely believe?
well, I think if when we stop to think about it, we see that it's provided sort of instant gratification, right? But it doesn't last
Very good. And why doesn't last?
because the objects, there's perhaps the impermanence of the objects.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons, right? But the main reason is our mind, right? The main reason why we don't get the happiness that we want from outside objects. Yes, they are impermanent. That means that they change. But if we would understand that, then that would be fine. The problem is that we don't think like that. We think that they're gonna last forever. We think that if I have a piece of chocolate cake, it's gonna make me happy, and the more chocolate cake I eat, the happier I'll become. So the more chocolate cake I eat, the more I actually suffer, right? So when we cannot develop love and kindness for someone that is making harm to others, it's because we don't understand that we and that person are exactly in the same in suffering because of not understanding what happiness is and how to get it. And not only this, is that even though we want to get it, we are under the very strong control of our negative tendencies. And the three big negative tendencies that we have are attachment, anger, and the creator of all, ignorance. And ignorance doesn't mean that, I'm ignorant about the weather. I don't know how the weather is. That doesn't create suffering. I'm not going to suffer if I don't know how the weather is. Only, of course, if I'm having a wedding and, I'm deciding if I'm going to go with that outfit or not outfit. That's why monks don't suffer so much, because we only have one outfit. So that is easy. Then you always go to the same. But, that's it.
Man, you got no problem with it.
No problem with outfits. It's the best. This was half of my decision to become a monk, but just because I don't need to worry about that anymore. But if you think about it, the biggest, ignorance that we have, it's about our minds. It's about how to get happiness, how to get away from suffering. That is the real ignorance that we have. Because we are grasping to things outside, we are projecting qualities into objects, into ideas, into versions of ourselves, of others, of objects, everything. We're just projecting things that are not there. Totally imagined, totally created. We project, we paint, we decorate, we do everything with our minds. And they are totally, as Rinpoche used to say, a hallucination. That is why we cannot understand why someone would kill another person and say that will bring them happiness. And that's why we become angry at them. Well, that person is projecting and hallucinating that this is happiness.
One person once said, sometimes the wanting is more pleasurable than the having.
Exactly. The projection is very much like that. We project something, but when we get it, it's not really giving what we want. So for some people, we're gonna say, oh wow, these people are totally nuts. They go into, especially when they go to retreats. I always use that example because it's very easy. Because we go to retreats, we have this monastery over there in Nepal, right? You go and then you pay. It's very cheap comparing to prices here in America, But it's but you need to give your phone, you need to give your computer. You are sleeping, probably sharing a room with someone. You do have individual rooms nowadays, but you have this. You are eating whatever they give to you, which is like porridge in the morning, rice and beans for lunch, and then like a fried rice in the evening. That's it. You don't talk, right? For half of the day, sometimes the entire day, and you sit down and you have pain the entire time because your body is not used to this, and there is like all of these noise, and you wake up early and all of that, and you pay for that, right? So people say these people are crazy, right? So the same way, the same thing. Happiness, it's a subjective decision making, let's say. It's a subjective idea. The problem is that subjective idea is contaminated by our attachments, by our aversion, anger, and our ignorance. So who the hell are we to think and to judge whatever that person is doing is even better or worse than us? When we are talking about in the absolute terms, right? In the equanimity terms, we are exactly the same. You understand? Bob, did you get what I mean? That is very important, because if we understand that we are exactly the same in wanting to be happy, and we are exactly the same in right now being suffering due to our delusions, our confusions, our attachments, our aversions, and that this person, just like us, is trying their best to achieve happiness and not suffer, but they chose a very weird and wrong way of doing that, that instead of creating happiness for them, is going to create suffering, not only right now, but in the future. There is only compassion that can come from that. There is only compassion that can arise. There's only an understanding that this person is totally lost. So then we develop compassion, but we need to do this with ourselves. We need to first see how lost we are. And this is one of the hardest things, because we are full of ourselves. We think we have the answer for everything. We are perfect. I know this, I'm that, da, 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 da. Oof, story of my life. I'm the biggest, like, if we're going to debate here, I'm definitely going to win of being the most, like, egocentric and selfish and all of that. You're going to have a difficult competition. So this is the reason. Does it make sense, Bob, what I explained? That is very important that we understand. Because then compassion comes from understanding equanimity. This is exactly how it is, But before equanimity, it needs to come from understanding our own suffering and understanding our own mind. We need to state where we are and say, I am here. This is my situation. And from that, I can move on. I can make a decision to do this or that, to change in this or that way. So that's how it is. By understanding our own suffering, we connect through equanimity, through love, through compassion, with the suffering of others. And we see that there's no difference in that basic nature of wanting to be happy and not suffer. So then from that, compassion arises. And then compassion is the wish. In Buddhism, the definition of compassion is not wanting to see others suffering and alleviating the suffering of others, right? But more than that, then we have what we call the great compassion, which is taking responsibility. So I'm seeing the other suffering, and I take responsibility to help that person, that being, to stop their suffering. And from that comes bodhicitta. Because bodhicitta understands that the only way to eradicate the suffering of others is through understanding their mind. Because that is the cause. To cut those projections, to see the nature of our own mind, to connect with the pureness. Purity? Yeah, purity. Purity better. The purity of our own mind. That is it. That is the cause of all of it. So if we can understand that by us doing the work with ourselves and understanding the purity of our mind, open our heart, getting rid of these negative tendencies, we are able to help others to do the same. Hernan, you had a question. Go on.
You had a question.
You had an answer.
Proposed answer.
What was the proposed answer? Come.
I think you're asking like why we can't achieve these changes.
Yes. Why we can't achieve happiness.
Yes. So my proposed answer is because that requires internal change.
Yes, definitely. And why is that a problem?
Favorite habits.
But when we want to lose weight, we do that, right? We change our behaviors. When we want to learn a new language, or when we want to move a new country, or when you want to do, we are changing all the time in some ways. Why?
Because you need to, not, but in
But isn't
a
eating
global way in your life,
Mhm.
it's not eating a little less or changing diet or having
Doing
some behavior when you
exercise.
go to the market to buy your buy food. It's basically like you have to change it internally, and we have all these traumas and concepts and everything that we bring with us. You have to confront that. That's where it makes it different.
So then what is, so that's it. Okay. So that's what we're trying to say, is that what is the difficulty is actually staying or confronting or staying with our suffering, our difficult parts, right? Yeah, that's very good. That I like it. That is better than, than just the difficult of change. It's difficult to be with our suffering. And that why is it difficult? We don't have methods, right? We don't know methods on how to deal with them. That is the biggest thing. Because if we have methods, then we can do something about it, right? It's like there's so many methods for losing weight nowadays, right? It's just that. So you can just pick one and do it. But methods to really help ourselves to deal with our traumas. There are some nowadays becoming more and more because we are having a mental health crisis in the world right now. So we are having to deal with these problems. But normally they don't get what we want still. We're still looking for something that really gives us a lasting feeling of experience of, oh, there's no more suffering coming, right? I think that is what, that's very good. Yes, Jackie.
Well, I can speak from experience. My father had a PhD in anger, and and Daddy said, "Well, it's just normal."
Yes,
And I said, "Daddy, it could be normal, it could be natural,
yes,
but it's not necessary."
yes, very
And
good.
that was like an aha moment
Yes,
because he didn't even know there were methods out there to stick with.
that's it.
This was normal and natural.
That's exactly this. And this is exactly why I was like thinking about, I was reading a book and then I think is that actually on the how to practice Dharma that Rinpoche is saying about how everything that we do in like outside, like books, TV shows, movies are all about that, right? Making it normal to think that having ups and downs, that having inner struggles and sufferings, it's normal. It is normal now as we are. The Buddha is going to say that is not normal. That is just a sick mind, right? So to change that belief, to transform that belief that is okay for us to be up and down, that is okay for us to be sad. It's not that it's okay, that we have sadness, that we have, kind of like anger and things like that. And that being necessary part of us, that is the hard part. Because it's not necessary. Why? And it's very easy to see why. And it's very easy because they disturb our peace of mind. So first of that's the first point. It disturbs our happiness. All of these negative states. But not only these, you know why they are not one with our minds. They need to be changed, or they can be changed, because they don't stay all the time. If they were one with our minds, they would stay. We would be angry all the time. Maybe some people are like that, but even them, angry all the time, they are not really. Sometimes they have a little bit of and they're just nice in their own ways of being nice. Okay. They are nice. So it is not one with, it's like the clouds. The clouds are not the sky. We cannot say that the sky and the clouds are the same, right? They're different things. So that is the same with these negative emotions in our minds. They are projected. They are projections in our mind, but that they don't need to be like that. They don't need to have that. That is what realizing our nature of the mind means. We realize the sky. We go beyond the projections. We don't project anymore. And we just experience directly without the projections. That is what the Buddha is saying that is possible. That is what the Buddha is saying that we can actually develop in our mind. Because it's there already. It's not that we need to do something, we need to acquire, we need to buy, we need to get. It's there. Even when anger arises, anger is arising because there is a sky, right? Let's say like this, there is a mind. The cloud of anger is coming up because there is a mind, because there is the sky. So the sky is always there. We might not actually like get in touch or realize it or like perceive it in this way, but it's there. We don't need to do something about getting a sky or developing a sky. The sky is there. What we need to actually do is stop identifying ourselves with the clouds, thinking that the clouds, it's us. And that's how self-grasping and self-cherishing and the ego work. The mind projects these things and we believe it's us. We are this. I am like that. I shouldn't be like this. I should be like that. That's how we create our sense of ego. But actually, if we look for it, there's nothing there. Just a mere projection of the mind. Because if it was there, it would be the same all the time. It would never change. And I'm sorry, but we are completely nuts because we change all the time. We wake up in a good mood, we go to sleep in a bad mood. In the middle of the day, we are in a hectic, crazy mood, or we are depressed, or we go in like, we go like blah, 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 all the time. The thing is that we do develop tendencies, and we think that those tendencies, it's us. I love when people come to me and say, but I've always been like this. And I say, well, always is a very long time. But I do think that even though you're always being like that, you can still change. It's possible. It's just possible. It's easy to see that it can be changed. But as Hernani said, it's a work. But it's the best work you can do. It's the only work we should be doing, to be honest. Because if we actually do that, then everything that we're going to do in our lives is going to come from that. And what is the work that we need to do? Open our hearts, understand our minds, develop an intention to do this. So we need to work on our intention all the time. Why am I doing this? Why am I saying this? Remember that I said in the prostrations, we're going to do like this, and we're going to touch about our body tendencies, our speech tendencies, our mind tendencies. It's just that. Just observing the tendencies we have and shifting them, transforming them. And how we do that? Through understanding. That's why the book is called Freedom Through Understanding. Because if we don't understand where we are, our minds, then we can never do something about it. You're going to say something, sweetheart?
I was going to say, one of the things I was going to say that I can remember anyway is that certain people in my life, I don't know if it happens in anyone else's life, I believe they try to incite me, they try to bait me into feeling anger. Like they get like a ride, they get happiness, which is unfortunate for them, for trying to make me or others unhappy. I find that difficult to deal with, but I find when I can deal with it and when I can overcome it and can understand where they're coming from, if they just want to be happy, even though what I think they're doing is horrible. That's it. Then I can be freer.
That's it. That is very good because, but like the most important part is that what you said, if I can see that they are doing that because they also want to be happy and all of this, then you say, and if they are doing this thinking that this is going to create more happiness, then it can ignite in us a sense of responsibility to say, then I need to help this person, right? And the way to help normally is to act exactly the opposite of what they want. Because
But
they want you to be anger, and you become the most soft, kind,
incredibly difficult,
amazing.
though. It's incredibly difficult.
I don't want the word, don't use the word incredible, but I would
Okay.
say, yes, it is difficult.
Okay.
But learning an instrument is hard. Like going on a diet is hard. Learning a new language is hard. Learning how to use these crazy computers and things nowadays is hard, you know. Phones and all that. Everything is hard in some way. You know, but the thing is that we use our energies of body, speech, and mind in so many things. But if we would put more energy in these, then it don't become harder. Because like everything else, the more you do it, the easier it becomes, right? So the more we do it, the more the easier it becomes, and then we can start thinking about. And that is the beauty of honestly of transformation of the mind. Is that the more you do, the more you feel happy with yourself, and the more you see the benefit that you bring to others. So you just want to do it again and again and again, right? It's just then life becomes purposeful, because then you have so many beings in your life to work with, right? Every single person, every single animal is a object of your own training of your mind, and all of them become an object of you to like is incredible their kindness. That's what Rinpoche used to say. You know, who is your best friend? Your enemy. Because your enemy can help you to see your ego, can help you to see how you get anger, and can give you the conditions for you to change. Because if everybody's just fluffy and nice with you, then you don't have that, right? But when someone starts to say, no, then you're like, "Rah." That's what we do in the monasteries. The monasteries are impressive, beautiful places to live because what we do, we pull each other legs all the time to help the ego to come up, and then you, boom, you know, you check. That's very good. That's the best friends. I always say to some people, you know, I have some friends that like they call me and they say, "Oh, I really need to talk," and they are like, "I want to do this," and then I go and I start to say, "Bah, bah, 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 you are doing like this, you are doing that," da, da, da." And I say, "I'm so sorry. I know you call because you wanted just, yes, oh yes, so sorry for this person is very bad to you, yes, yes," and I'm not gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna say, "Where is your part of the deal in here, right?" Where's coming from you? Come on. If you call ourselves Buddhist, Buddhist means ngampa, in Tibetan. Ngampa means inner being. Inner being means you're gonna check the causes of your suffering and the causes of your happiness inside and not outside. So if you come to me and say, because that person did that to me, and so sorry, I'm gonna say that person is you. So let's try and check what is happening, right? So I go straight to so that's why it's hard. That's why I say to people, I don't know how you call me, and then I know how you are my friend. I know I'm a pain in the ass. I am. But that's what we need to do, right? Because we need to remind ourselves to go inside all the time. And that is the hard part. That is the difficult part of transformation, is to go and check and say, I cannot anymore go outside. When you start to really use the Buddhist path as your assumption, as Precious Venerable Robina says, is my assumption, you know? When you start to use it, then you cannot go anymore and say, because that person did that to me, they are bad, they are mean to me. What do you have to do with that? What is your part of the deal? Let's check. Then it becomes interesting because that we can talk, that we can change. We cannot change other person's mind. We cannot change other person's reaction to ourselves, right? But that's how we live. We live like that. We live doing things, expecting people to react in a certain way. recipe for disaster, right? Yes, Sharon. I have a question.
So it's like I have to take responsibility actually for everybody else's actions also, not only my own, but for everybody else's, because,
Why?
well, because if they're acting in a certain way, it's almost like karma, isn't it? There's certain people that are in my life because of a certain karma.
I got lost.
I have a certain daughter who's
Yes.
teaching me a certain lesson.
Yes.
Isn't that my karma?
Yes,
Or the
definitely.
person I meet in the street
Yes.
who doesn't stop at the stop sign and I'm
Yes.
trying to walk across the street, that's
Yeah.
part of my karma.
Yeah, but how is their reaction your responsibility?
Because it's going to maybe initiate some kind of feeling inside of me. Their action is going to cause something inside of me to feel or think something. And so, but I have to look at myself. How am I reacting to them?
Yes.
But that's how I'm taking responsibility also for their action towards me.
Yes, I wouldn't use the word very good what you're saying, but I wouldn't use the word take responsibility. Yes, I would use yes, good responsibility. What you need to understand is that your mind is projecting their reaction. Do you understand? Because the way they react, it's how it's gonna appear to you that it is your responsibility. For example, someone like you text someone, you call someone, and the person doesn't call you back, and then you start to think, this person doesn't like me, this person doesn't do this, or this person is mad at me, You start to create a story, right? Maybe the person was just busy, didn't get the phone, didn't have time for that, and things like that. So it's not your responsibility the way that they act. It's your responsibility the way that you interpret the way that they act, and you act on that. You understand? That is the key. It is your responsibility, is your interpretation on the way that you understood or that you project their reaction, right? Because the difficult part is sometimes people do react with a outside version of what it looks anger, but maybe comes from a positive intention. For example, when we have a young child, and the child is wanting to cross the street, and then they are just like, la, 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 and then you take the hand and say, don't do that, don't go in front of the, right? You go strong. Why? Because you have love for that child and you don't want them to hurt. But you use a outside manifestation that might be interpreted as anger, but it comes from an intention. So that kid would say, oh, wow, mommy is saying to me that I shouldn't do that. Until they understand later on in their lives that this is coming from love, in that beginning, they might understand that it's coming from anger, right? So they don't do because they are afraid of that. But when they start to understand that, oh, wow, if I actually run in front of the cars, I die. And my mom told me not to do that. My mom loves me. So then the two reaction, the reaction of the mother is one. But the way you can see it, very different. You can see from a place of love. You can see from a place of anger. What is the difference? Understanding. So it's your understanding that is actually creating your reality. Right? I think that she has a question before.
Well, I was just going to say that somebody who treats another person really badly has been a victim of that treatment themselves.
Mhm.
So they've been suffering.
What you just described is called karma. That's it. Karma is exactly that. We can never create something if we haven't created the causes for it to happen. That's it.
What?
We can't create, karma says, we can't create and experience a certain result, okay? We can't have an experience that we didn't create the causes for it to happen. It's just that. Like, easy. Like, if you didn't create the causes for certain whatever it is in your life to happen, you cannot experience that. If you didn't and so many things that I don't even know. But if you didn't study law, you cannot be a lawyer, right? It's just like that. It's just cause and effect. If you didn't learn how to drive, you cannot drive, right? It's so simple, but it's that. If you didn't create the causes for something to happen, you're not going to experience that result. But we don't see it like this. And that is the dangerous. We see it, and that's what we do with others. We start to look at others and say, they should be like that. They should be like this. I remember what I did when I was 15 years old. I was 15, my older brothers left home, and I was stuck at home with my parents. And my parents used to have so many arguments sometimes about stuff that I was just like, who are these people? And I had to sit down with them and I said, I will stop now to call you mom and dad. I'll call you only for your names. And we're going to have every dinner a talk about who are you. So I used to interview them and ask exactly each questions so I could understand how was their relationship with their parents, how is the relationship with these, why they came together, why they went to study medicine, why they started to do this, why they decided to do that. Because for me, it has to be a cause for them to be in a certain way. So I was trying to understand that. When I started to understand that, I freed myself from my own crazy ideas how they should be. Because it was impossible for them to be in a certain way because they never created the conditions, the causes for that. You know, it's like if I come to you guys and say, oh, you're all in a Tibetan Buddhism center, therefore, because you're in a Tibetan Buddhism, you should start to speak Tibetan. That's how logical we are, okay? So then I'm going to say, okay, so start speaking Tibetan. And then you're going to say, I never learned, so how can I start to speak Tibetan? It's exactly like this. We want someone that never learned how to be kind or how to be a little bit more loving, or we expect that person to be more attentive to us or kind to us. They never learned. How can we want them to be in this way? Make sense? That is the biggest suffering we have, especially in relationships, which is we have relationships all the time, right? We have relationships. I'm not saying only relationships in loving relationships, but we have interactions with people all the time. So if we have that mindset that is just thinking, oh, this person should be like this person should be like that, and the person cannot be, especially with parents, or with children, or with different ways, different people in our lives. We can't expect them to be something that they didn't create the causes and conditions to be. But you that have been here coming to this blah 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 talks and listening to now a little bit about Buddhism, about responsibility, then you start to have a bit more of responsibility of your own actions. You now have to have a little bit more of understanding and control of yourself, because you now a training in method that can help you. And that is what Buddhism, what the wish to become a Buddha means. Taking responsibility of our own actions, of our own mind, of our own perception. And then by understanding our own perception and understanding our own mind, we are able to transform, letting go of the negative habits that we have that don't help us at all, because we understand now how they work, how they function, and how they are negative for us. Like, becoming angry at someone that is angry at us, right? If we understand that, it's much easier to let it go. But then it's a process. Then you need to train like everything else, like a muscle, You go and then you fall, and then you still get angry when someone goes like, and then rah, explode. Okay. Next day, you try again. You try again, and you try again. So that's what we do. And then the other part is that we start to open our hearts. Oh, wait a minute. That person who is screaming at me at the supermarket is having a bad day. But that person is not feeling well. You know, that person who is doing this to that other person, I shouldn't be judging them and say, oh, this person is wrong, is bad, and things like that. Maybe we should go and check with the person who is and say, how are you? Yeah, are you okay? Okay. And then to the other person, are you okay, sweetheart? Because if you're also exploding like that, maybe you're not so well. Right? That's what we can do. There's two people in front of us and suffering in the same way, even though in the outside we think that the person who is beating, killing, doing this is creating, the only one creating suffering to others. The person who is killing, beating, and all of that is creating one of the biggest habits in their minds to continue doing that and suffering again and again and again. We should have compassion towards both. That is hard. But that's how we go. We start to opening our hearts. We can, now that we have the understanding. That's why freedom. Freedom means that we can let it go of our wrong concepts about ourselves and others. Concepts that instead of opening our hearts and makes our lives peaceful and quiet and loving and kind, makes us tight, narrow, you know, that bad taste in the mouth. So that is the Buddhist path. That is what we can achieve. Takes time, effort, yes. Not easy? No. If you want easiness, have my first boss. She said that to me. She said, if you want easiness, do you know what is a flan? Like that thing? She said, if you want easiness and softness, you sit on a flan. And it's gonna be very easy and soft. And I understood that. I said, oh, okay. That is what it is. Exactly. So this is gonna be, but yes, everything else in life is also hard. Being successful, having a family, having this, this is a lot of work, right? But we can do that in a certain way that it becomes, because that is the thing, you know, I always say that studying the Buddhist path and training your mind is the best like college you can do, the best degree you can get, because it's going to transform your entire life. When you go to college, you go like, I want to study this, and then you kind of like go to a specific thing, and you become very specialized in one thing, and maybe you're very good at one thing, but you suck on other stuff, right? But like in Buddhism, is actually the more you work and about on yourself, become better in everything. Everything. You become better in your relationships, in your work, in your family life, everything. So this place here should be full of people, if you think about it, because that's what we all want. But the methods are hard. That's the difficult. We think that the methods are hard, but once we start to understand, they're not. They are not, because why? Because they give us exactly what we are looking for, and not just the small satisfaction and then makes us want again. You know, don't make us just drink salty water. Dharma is like nectar, we say. You know, it's like the more we take, we start to feel good. Maybe some type of drug, you know. I don't remember. I take some drug, but you know, you take it and you feel good. Wow. You know, but it actually, instead of completely making our mind bunkers, it brings us to reality. It brings us closer and closer to reality. So things become easier, more doable, more understandable. That is the beauty of it. That's what we all can develop within ourselves. So stop being so hard on yourself. Stop thinking that you cannot do that, and just do it. Just do it. Just slowly, step by step, start from where you are. Open your heart today, now. Check your mind. Check your intention. That's it. Become aware of yourself. Remember, we're thinking about it. Just becoming aware of what is happening in your mind is incredible. But awareness in itself is not transform. So you need the intention to wanting to transform. So you change. So you let it go of the negativities. You increase your qualities. You practice patience. You practice love and kindness, compassion. You know, and life becomes better and better and better and better. And then we can help more and more people. And life becomes meaningful. And it's beautiful. Then we just want to be able to do this again and again and again, not only in this life, but future lives, ever, forever. Just come back and help others. That is what freedom through understanding is. That's what I didn't talk anything about the chapter that I was going to check, but that's absolutely fine. You guys already know that I'm a mess, so it's okay. So that is the idea. Okay. So someone online has something over there now. But I'm going to meet in New York. Okay. I don't know what it is, but it's okay.
I think that's the hugger.
Irma. Ah, she's gonna be in New York. Oh, that's true. She's coming to America. Irma is going to go to America. Very good. Very, very good if you can go and see her and get a hug.
She got a lot of customers here.
Yes, she has a lot of cousins. Yes. For me, honestly, I see her as an enlightened of Tara. You know, Tara is the representation of the Buddhist mind of activities, of doing things for others and helping others. She's like that. She's incredible. She's incredible, right? And if you listen to her teachings, very similar to the Buddhist teachings. Very similar, very similar, very similar. And then, you kind of like start to understand more the Buddhist path. And then you start to use that as a way to develop more your Buddhist path. Beautiful. Everything can become Dharma. Everything can become Dharma. That is so special. And then, you meet like someone like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and then you see the result of all these efforts that we are putting. And then you're like, the way His Holiness sees every single person. I still remember, I never gonna go away this feeling when the first time I saw the Dalai Lama and I met him. And he was looking inside my eye and I was crying like a baby. And then he was looking inside of my eyes, loving me in a way that I didn't love myself. He accepted me. He just had these eyes full of compassion, full of love, full of understanding. And I said, I want that for me. I want to love myself exactly like he's looking at me. And I want to love others and look into the eyes of others and to give that to others. Right? That is the power that we can bring about for others. And then we inspire others to be their best version of themselves, a better human being. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, enough blah, 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 because you're all getting tired. So thank you so much for being here, for listening to this. So every time we finish something in Buddhism, we say that we should dedicate. So motivation is like it's almost like we're opening the earth and we are planting a seed, right? So opening the earth, it means we want to plant a seed. So that's the motivation, the intention. Then planting the seed is the seed, the action that we are creating, either a good or a bad. So it can be a poisonous seed or it can be a good seed. Normally we try to plant good seeds, just for the record, right? So then we put that, and then once we did that, if we just leave it like this, it's not going to have so much use because, so we need to cover it and put it water so the seed can actually sprout. So that is the dedication. Dedication means that we are using all of this incredible energy that we created here individually and as a group to continue feeding that motivation that we develop to benefit others, to find happiness for ourselves and others, to continue to use that in our daily lives, right? Because that's what we need. We need to continuously put into practice. Not only when we come here on Sundays, we listen to 1.5 hours of blah, blah, blah. And then, the rest of the week, we are just like, oh, I wish that person would suffer. This person did that to me. Then, or I just want that. I need that new card, and then I'm gonna be happy, and then I'm gonna have that. We are coming here for 1.5 hours. We make everything clean, and then for the entire week we make it dirty. We put caca and dirty everything inside. Then we come back here, have to clean everything, get together. We're not gonna move far. We're not gonna do much. So let's not do it like that. Motivation, dedication is for that too. May I be able to keep that in my mind throughout my day. May I be able to cultivate that state of mind throughout my day. That is the idea of dedication, right? And I do that with the intention not only for myself, but to remind me to help others. We do that, then the life becomes so much easier. And we can help others in so many ways. Don't think that you need to, I need to do. No, you can already now start helping others. You might not be able to effectively help others, in the end, because it's like, when you want to become a doctor, you want to become a doctor because you want to help others. But when you start to learn a little bit of medicine, you already can do a little bit this or that, right? You can understand one of things, but you still need to continue studying so you become a doctor and you efficiently help someone. It's the same. We are in the process of still becoming Buddhas, right? But we can already help others. Not that we are, no, only when I become a Buddha, I help others. Not like that. No. You become now. Whatever you do with compassion, kindness, loving, mind, peace. That's all we do. Okay? So we dedicate for that. We dedicate that whatever we do in our day-to-day lives, whatever we do with our body, with our speech, especially because our speech can hurt sometimes more than actions. So we make sure that we take care of whatever we say, that we say with kindness, with love, and with, and also whatever we do for others may be beneficial. So they can also be able to discover within themselves their potential and more decrease their negative tendencies and open their hearts. And we would not be able to do that if it was not for our teachers who very kindly showed us the way, like the Dalai Lama. So we dedicate for his long life, for he continued to be a beacon of light and peace and harmony in this complicated world. We dedicate for Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who passed away last year, to come back and continue fulfilling his incredible responsibilities of guiding us. And we think about all the people suffering right now in the world because of diseases, because of hunger, because of wars. All of the suffering of, mental health suffering as well, that people go into depression, sadness, and even suicide. May all of these people have everything that they need, all the conditions to be happy, to find the causes of happiness and to eliminate the causes of suffering. And we dedicate that especially for, a place like here, Thubten Kunga, who was created by Jackie, and the efforts of so many people throughout these 30 years that exists. May it continue to have all the necessary conditions to offer to people a place of safety, place of peace, place of community, place of study, of contemplation, of meditation, a place where people can open their hearts, develop their minds, and find lasting happiness. So we're gonna do some dedication prayers, as we say. So it's the same idea of the prayers, of the aspirations. So we start on over there. Page 235, for those that have wants to use the book here. 235. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and for all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losandrapa to shine forever. Now we go to page 246. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food, may the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy, may the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as the space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Now we go to page 244. For the long life prayer for the Dalai Lama, for His Holiness. 244. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Now, to request Lama Zopa Rinpoche to come back on page 234, the swift return prayer for Rinpoche. 234. Healers, teacher, and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losam, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the 3 jewels and the great ways of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. So thank you very, very, very much. So tonight at 7 we have Medicine Buddha for those that would like to come, right? And then this week, well, we continue our teachings. We have meditations every day in the morning from Monday to Friday, 7:30 to 8. You can join us online. And then Monday and Wednesdays we have meditations. Then Monday we're doing the Spanish class as well. What did I say? Monday, Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday Spanish. No Portuguese yet. You know, like these people are just not with them. My Portuguese is very bad, so I need to learn again so I can teach you. And then on Thursday we have also our class, and then Sundays as well. So feel free to come and join us. Thank you.
Calendar. You can find all this on the
Yes,
calendar.
on the calendar online. Thank you so much, everybody online. Thank you, Nana, for sharing. Thank you, everybody.
It was wonderful.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Sorry? August 4th, another potluck lunch. Yes. And I have a pie, key lime pie to bring and share with you. So you all should come for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nana.
Do we have the Spanish class online?
Yes.
We do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.